Hi, I'm Barry Grove, and Susan was saying I'm the sculptor of the reconstruction. I want to point out that some people call that a replica, and that hugely annoys me for reasons that are quite clear once I explain the convoluted history that the original sculpture had. As Susan mentioned, the whole project was 5 years. It was 14 months to do the first site, and then there was lots of archaeological excavations and analysis, and then 9 months to come up to design for the second site, and then 3 years of carving. And yeah, it was kind of living archaeology because it hadn't been attempted since Pictish times, so it was certainly something new and fresh. And one of the questions that was answered was, were they carved horizontally or vertically? And I think, I carved the first site horizontally, then we erected it, then we did the archaeological dig, uncovered all that information that allowed me to come up with the concept for the second site. But the whole stone weighs 7 tons, it was embedded into 14 tons of foundation. There's no way it was moving. If it does move, I don't want to know about it. So I had no choice but to carve the second site when it was standing vertically. And I think the Picts did the same, but they would have done it the other way around. The problem I had was the design begins from the very bottom on the cross site, which is the second site. I had to carve upside down between my legs. I could take that much grass away, then it was 14 tons of concrete. So there's no way I could do it other than that. And it proved to be quite difficult. Whereas the first site, the site that still exists in the stone in the Edinburgh Museum, starts a good foot. You could be in your knees in front of it carving. It's a much simpler site, so you would do the more complex site. Medieval masons, I believe, were paid 3 times more to carve statuary on the building than they were on the ground, because although stone is durable and hard, it doesn't take much to break off this. So all it needs is a wee nudge against the corner of a building and actually burst an arm or a head off or whatever. So they were paid more money in order to carve it on the buildings. So I think the Picts would have done it the same way I did it, but like I say, they would have done the more complex site first. I've got no slideshow, and this is a drawing I made of the stone when it was finished. And give you a brief history of it. The stone in the museum in Edinburgh, the original stone, begins from, if you take a horizontal line across there, it begins from that point up. It blew over in a huge storm prior to 1676, and it fell onto this space. It protected this space, but it left the other side fully exposed. Later on in that year, a man who became quite rightly known as the barbarous mason of Ross came along, and he hacked everything off the other side. It was a terrible act of vandalism and desecration on, quite frankly, one of Scotland's finest Pictish monuments. He then recarved it to a grave slab to a man called Alexander Duff and his 3 wives, and it's a naive and brutal piece of carving. I think probably an itinerant farm worker who thought he could handle a chisel. That's the impression I get from it. In about 1780, a Reverend Charles Cordner, who was researching the other stones in the peninsula, there's the Shanwick stone and the Nigg stone, there are 2 more exquisite examples of Pictish sculpture. He came along, he saw the ruinous chapel that still existed at that point, and he saw this huge slab just lying in the field. So he's reputedly, he meant to have felt underneath it and felt what we call this inhabited pine scroll. That piqued his interest, obviously, so he got half a dozen men to help him turn it over. And that was a rediscovery of one of Scotland's finest monuments. They lent it against the gable wall of the chapel, and I believe they grew trees around it to try and protect it from any inclement weather. And there it remained until 1865, when the local landowner, he decided to build a castle at Invergordon. And he decided that the monument would make a lovely ornament for what he was going to call his American garden. So much to the annoyance of all the local people, but being the laird, there's nothing much they could do about it in those days, he pushed it off to Invergordon. His castle mysteriously burnt down in 1920, and his son, who was the curator of the castle at the time, decided that the British Museum in London might quite like the monument. So much to the annoyance of all the Scottish people and antiquarians, he got it shipped off down to London. But due to vociferous campaigning, within 9 months it was sent back in 1921, but only as far as Edinburgh. And that's what it is today. Now, it takes pride of place in Edinburgh's brand new £30 million plus museum. And when I was first approached with the idea of reconstructing this monument, I talked to the curator of the museum, and she informed me that in order to extract it, you'd have to take the roof off a new £30 million museum. That kind of sealed its fate. It wasn't coming back locally to the village. I honestly didn't think we would get a piece of stone big enough. Anything over 2 metres in length is rare. Because the Victorians started using black powder in quarries, it sends fractures through the rock face. So, and like I say, but this is 4.5 meters. And I think it was about 8 months after agreeing to do it, I'm standing at the quarry, Flashaft quarry just outside Elgin at Bolton, with my tape measure, realising my bluff was well and truly called. I had no option but to proceed with it. The whole thing, this side, was 14 months to complete. But it was an open studio, and I felt that was important. It had to have some kind of level of social integration. And to me, that's what I admire about the Picts. It's one of the things that's not touched on, was the fact that, of course, they're doing it with leather and wood. We've got examples of their jewellery, it's exquisite. But the stone survives, it lasts the intervening millennia, and their investment in these pieces of what I consider public art, to show that this is Pict land, what a foresight they had. I'm thinking without these bits of sculpture, a whole race of people would have disappeared in the midst of time. We know practically nothing about them. If you want to see some carving, then there's quite a lot of you, but you won't be able to see sitting down. So if you want to come forward, then I've half started at a piece, and it's from the line scroll from just about this point, just to reconstruct it, just to show you how it would to proceed with the carving. Yeah, the other question that I was always asked was, when people said it's much easier nowadays, and I have to add that I used no modern machinery on the original sculpture. I felt it was important because it was living archaeology, and it had to be done with a mallet and a chisel. You want to then break through the surface of the stone in order to what I guess that you would call make safe. Once you break through that kind of skin, then you can go, you can carve away right up to the right. I'm just going to warn you in case there's wee bits. You can be quite harsh with it, and you're not going to break off the element that you want to keep. So again, when you first approach the stone, in order to make safe, I just use the corner of the chisel, and you just think of it like a pencil. And the other way to hold the chisel, and this feels really uncomfortable to people to begin with, is don't hold it in your fist like that, because you can imagine, you've not locked it. So if you're carving along, your chisel could easily slip, and that's when you start knocking off bits you want to keep. You lock it with your thumb. So you put it in your hand like this, fingers round, lock it, and turn your wrist round, and it's solid then. And it does feel a bit illy for people to begin with, but once you get used to it, it's certainly a much more reliable way of doing it. And you can roll the chisel round with your thumb, when you're working along the edges. Now, like I said before, the carving, it kind of looks off-putting, but it's actually quite easy. It's the drawing that's the hard part. It just takes time to get to know angles of the chisel. If you find that you're and you've got to try and think of like 45 degrees, off the plane of the surface is kind of optimal. You can see it's lifting off the waist. But if you feel like you're digging, then your angle's too steep, so you just lower it down. And again, converse to that, if you feel it's slipping and not doing anything, just increase it. And when you have a shot in these bits of stone, then it doesn't matter if you're making a mess or what you think is a mess. And really, you just want to try and get used to the control of the chisel, and it becomes intuitive.
One thing was that written down,
I had to kind of wander on carpentry. The last
you're entitled to be involved. Robust. It's quite natural to discover. Thicker there, I think it's